Welcome dear students, myself Zainab Babri. We are going to study today from the class 8 chemistry, chapter 8 water. Part 1 importance of water, sources of water and physical properties of water. Dear friends, as you know, water is very important life giving liquid. In this section, we are going to discuss about how water is essential constituent of life, importance of water, sources of water, water cycle, water as a compound, physical properties of water. Let us move to know about water. Water is essential for existence of life. We can observe water in our surrounding in all the three states. Ice as a solid, water at normal room temperature as a liquid, and vapors in the form of gas. There are different sources of water like ocean, river, lake, ponds. As well as water is available in the form of solid state in glaciers and vapor states in the air. Water is the habitat of numerous species of plants and animals. That aquatic life can exist in water. Water is required in our day-to-day life activity. As we know, every living thing needs water. Nearly 70% of human body is composed of water. For the different life processes, we need water. The food which is digested in the body gets circulated with the help of blood, which is consisting of water.
Water is providing all biochemical reactions inside our body to take place. It is also helping in the respiration. With exhalation, we give water vapors. Water is required to regulate body temperature by the process of sweating and evaporation.
Water is required for seed germination, growth of plants. Plants do the process of photosynthesis in the chlorophyll pigment with the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. As we know, our earth is known as blue planet. Do you know why? Because 71% of our earth is covered with water. We get water every year from rain. It gets stored in the different bodies like lake, ocean, seas, springs, rivers, well, glaciers, and it is also present in form of water vapor in our surrounding. Let us study the different normal natural sources of water. So, sources of water are divided in the three categories. First, surface water, second, underground water, and third, water above the earth surface. Surface water like ocean, seas, rivers, lake. If you will observe the distribution of earth's water, you can see the maximum part of water is saline, which is present in the oceans and seas. Out of this, only some amount of water is in the form of fresh water. And that is also in the different forms like underground water and in the form of glacier. Only 1% of water is available for the consumption. Let us observe the different water bodies on the globe. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean and Antarctic Ocean. These are the huge water bodies on the surface of Earth. This is the saline water. Seawater is important because it is containing salt in the large quantity. We can obtain salt from the sea water. Seas are lesser in volume than that of the oceans. The important seas on the globe are like Mediterranean Sea, Arabian Sea, Caribbean Sea, Philippine Sea. Do you know? More than 90% of Earth's life is in the water. Let us study surface water. Rivers and lakes, rainfall, snowfall are nothing but the different surface water.
They consist of
Lot of impurities in form of dissolved salts and soil particles. When it rains, clay and sand, germs, decaying plants and dead animals get mixed with water. Water in river and lake contains suspended impurities. As we know, this water is not potable. We have to purify it before use. Let us discuss underground water, wells and springs. When it rains, the water gets saturated on the surface of the earth and slowly it gets seeps under the soil, forming underground water sources like wells. When it rains, some of the water gets sipped into the ground and forms water bodies under the soil. When we are digging the wells
groundwater springs in it.
and we can use this water. This water is generally filtered from the layers of the soil.
It may contain dissolved impurities.
Springs are nothing but the underground water source which is formed due to the seepage of rainwater into the ground. And this water gets entered in porous rocks and where there are non solid non-porous rocks, it keeps on flowing from that surfaces. And sometimes it starts to come out on the surface which we are calling as a springs. Also there we can observe on the different parts of the earth hot water springs.
Which is formed due to the presence of geothermal energy of our earth.
Let us discuss the next part, that is water above the earth surface. Generally this is in the form of water vapor. As we know, the water of rain gets stored on the surface of water. Due to the continuous bright sunlight, the evaporation of water takes place. This water remains in the form of vapor in the air. Eventually, it gets condensed and gets precipitated to make the rain. This rain again makes the water available on the surface of water. So here we have discussed the natural sources of water. Let us discuss the next point, water cycle.
Let's look at water's forms and how it moves through the water cycle. Water is constantly moving between the atmosphere, the oceans, and the land in a cyclical pattern we refer to as the water cycle,
1%.
or sometimes as the hydrological cycle. Water will move into the atmosphere through evaporation, transpiration, and respiration. Heat from the sun will convert the liquid water from oceans, seas, lakes, ponds, and rivers into a gaseous water vapor. Plants will absorb water from the soil and then transport it to the stems and leaves. Some water will evaporate from the leaves through the process of transpiration. Plants and animals respire, taking in oxygen and emitting both carbon dioxide and water vapor through the process of respiration. Even this relatively small amount of water vapor will add to the water that is already in the atmosphere. The water that moves into the atmosphere will join with dust particles to form clouds. When the vapor temperature decreases, condensation will occur, and the vapor will convert into water droplets, which will remain suspended in the atmosphere. At the right temperature and pressure, these condensed droplets will precipitate into larger droplets and fall to earth as rain. Once on the ground, the rain will sink in as groundwater. But much of the rain will flow into streams, rivers, and ultimately into the seas and oceans.
So make a note, water cycle is nothing but the process of evaporation, condensation and precipitation in the cyclic manner to facilitate the water source on the earth. Remember, water is very important. It is very valuable. The total earth surface is consisting of 97% water as a saline water and only 3% of water is in the form of fresh water. Most of this fresh water is stored in the ice cap regions in the form of glaciers and ice, and some of it is under the ground, which is seeped in the layers of the soil as groundwater. Hence, out of this water, only 0.006% of water is available on the surface in the form of rivers and lakes as useful fresh water. So, water is a very much important, valuable resource. Conserve water, save water. Keep in note the important characteristics of potable water. Potable water means the water which is suitable for consumption. Potable water must be transparent and clear. It should be odorless, means it should not have any false smell. It should be colorless. It should contain the required amount of the dissolved gases and minerals. This adds taste to the water. Potable water should contain only the required amount of minerals, not in the excess amount. Potable water should be free from harmful organisms. Let us see what is water. Water is a compound. Water is a compound which is found widely on the earth's surface. Approximately From 71% to 80% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. The chemical formula of water is H2O. The one oxygen molecule is bounded with the two hydrogen atoms, forming water. Water is perhaps only the substance which is found in three states, namely ice as solid, liquid water, and water in the form of vapors in the atmosphere as a gaseous state. It was the year 1781 in which Henry Cavendish, a British scientist, discovered the water, which is made of the two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. With his experiment of common air and inflammable air by burning them together, he conducted an experiment which was aimed to measure the difference in common air and inflammable air in their initial and final volumes. When he burned the two types of air together, it resulted an explosion. The explosion coated the glass apparatus with dew. Henry became very curious and conducted more experiments along the same line. Only this time he used the specific portion of common air and inflammable air. At the end of his series of experiments, he arrived to a conclusion that the two airs combined to form pure water. Later, this common air and inflammable air were termed as oxygen and hydrogen. It confirmed that the dew, which is formed in Cavendish experiment, was composed of atoms of hydrogen and oxygen. It was almost 60 years later, in the year 1842, a French chemist, Jean-Baptiste Dumas, discovered the actual ratio of hydrogen and oxygen in water, and it was 2:1, means 2 parts of hydrogen with 1 part of oxygen. This means 2 atoms of hydrogen combines with 1 atom of oxygen, forming a molecule of water. Dear students,
We will stop here. Take homework. Complete question number 1, 2 and 3 from exercise 1 of your textbook.